Today we are going to start a new book series, and this book is of 6th class NCERT, in which we will discuss our past. Uh, this book is mainly about the ancient history, and it mainly deals the ancient history of India. So the ancient India is the content of this book. Mm. So firstly we will discuss about the history, why we study history. There is a section given in this book by the headline of why study history. So let's we start knowing why we should study history. So you know that this book is of class 6th. So everything that is written in this book is written by seeing the 6th class students. So in this year, in class 6, you will read history. It is part of a bigger group of subjects known as science. Social science helps us understanding the working of our social world. It tells us about geography, the way the income works, and the manner in which social and political life is organized. Most part of social science or than history tell you about the world in the present. History will help you understand how this present evolved. It will tell you about the past of the present. So history is not about just history, it tells you about geography, politics, social science, past, and mainly present. How you got this present. There is a long history behind this present. So you can't totally understand, know this present without knowing the history of this present. So that's why you have to need to study about the past, the history. When we live in a society, we become used to do world around us. We begin to take that world for granted. We forget that life was not always the way we see it. Can you, for instance, imagine a life without fear? Fire. Can you, for an instant, imagine a life without fire? Can you think of what it is to believe in a society where the cultivation of crop were unknown, or what it was to believe at a time when roads and railway didn't exist, and yet people traveled a long distance? History can take us into these pasts. History is history in the sense in an adventure. It is a journey across time and space. It transports us into another world, another age in which people live differently. Their economy and society, their belief and faith, their clothes and food, their settlements and buildings, their arts and crafts. Everything was different. History can open doors into such worlds. You may shrug, shrug, shrug your shoulders and say, why should we bother about pasts that are not no longer with us, past that have. But history is not just about the past, it is about the present. The society we live in has been fashioned by those who, who came before us, the joys and sorrows of their daily lives, their attempts to grapple with problems in their time, their discoveries and innovations slowly transformed human societies. These changes were often so gradual, so seemingly small, that their impact was no noticed by people at that time. Only later, when we return to that past, when we study history, can we begin to see how these changes happened, and we can observe their long term effect. By reading history, we can understand how the modern world has emerged over long centuries of development. The book that you will study in this year will take you back in our ancient past. Over the next 2 years, you will continue your journey through the history of subsequent periods. In this book, you will read not just about kings and queens who lived in ancient India, and about their consequences and policies. You will learn about hunters and peasants, craft people and traders. You will see how fire came to be used, and iron took where iron tools were discovered, how wheat and rice began to cultivated, and villages and town developed. You will read about pilgrims and saints, buildings and paintings, religions and beliefs. You will find out that history is not only about great men, it is also about the living and activities of ordinary women, men and children. History is not only about political events, it is about everything that happens in society. The book will also help you understand how historians came to know about the past, somewhat like detectives. Historians follow clues and tra- traces left by people, traces kachra traces left by people who lived in that past. Everything that survives from earlier time, stone tools, trace of plants, bones, written material and pictures, ornaments and implements, inscriptions and coins, buildings, sculpt, sculpture, 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 pots and pans can tell us something about the past. Historians and uh, archaeologists studied these sources and tried and understand them. In this book, you will see many of these sources and find out how historians studied study these. But studying history can help us understanding more than the past. It enables us to develop important skill and qualities when we try and enter, enter another world. We have to learn how to this to understand people whose life were different. As we do this, we open up our minds and break out of our small present day world. We begin to see how other people may think and act. This can become learning experience that enriches us in many different ways. So before you shrug your shoulders, ask yourself one question. Do I want to know who I am? Do I want to understand how this society works? Do I want to understand the world in which I live? If you do, then you will need to know how our society have evolved and how our past have shaped the present. So that is going to be really interesting. So now we will going to see the content. What are the content in this entire book? Means what is in the every chapter. So first chapter that we will going to discuss today is introduction. What, where, how and when. For what, where, when, why छोड़ दिया है, why. Already discussed why अभी now. So 4H, 4W, 1H, what, why, where, when, and 1H, how. So this is about first chapter. Second chapter we will discuss about from hunting to gathering to growing food, mainly how we started agriculture maybe. In third chapter, and the earliest cities. In fourth chapter, what books and burials tell us. Scriptures about manuscripts we will discuss in this chapter. Fifth chapter, kingdoms, kings and yearly republic. Mainly we will discuss about ruler system. In sixth chapter, new questions and ideas, the evolution of information, maybe cognitive revolution, maybe from a king to an emperor in chapter 7. In chapter 8, villages, town and trade. Ninth chapter, new empires and kingdoms. 10th and last chapter is buildings, paintings and books. So today we are going to start 4W and 1H. Already we have discussed why we study history, and now we are going to in this first chapter introduction, what, where, how and when. So there is a good thing about in NCERT. It provides us lots of illustrations and comics, highlights and narratives to know and initiate any chapter. So this chapter is to initiated by a girl who is Rasida's question. Rasida is a girl who is questioning today. Rasida sat reading the newspaper. Suddenly her eyes fell on a small headline 100 years ago. How she wondered, could anyone know what had happened so many years ago? Hmm? Finding out what happened. Yesterday, you could listen to the radio, watch television, read newspapers. Last year, ask somebody who remembers. But what about long ago? Let us see how it can be done. Huh. How we can know about long years ago things, events. Hmm. What can we know about the past? There are several things we can find out: what people ate and kinds of clothes they wore, the houses in which they lived. We can find out about the lives of hunters, herders, farmers, rulers, merchants, priests, craft persons, artists, musicians, scientists. We can also find out about games children played, the stories they heard, the plays they saw, the songs they sang. Hmm. Where did people live? Find the river Narmada on map page number 2 में. People have where did people live? People have lived along the bank of these rivers from several hundred thousand years. Some of the earliest people who lived there were skilled gatherers. That is, people who gathered their food. They knew about vast wealth of plants in surrounding forest and collected fruits and other forest products for their food. They also hunted animals. Now find the Suleiman and Kirthar. Suleiman and Kirthar Hill on the northwest. So these are the hills, and we have to find in the northern west area of India. Some of the years where women and men first began to grow crops such as wheat and barley about 8,000 years ago are located here. People also began rearing animals like sheep, goats, and cattle, and lived in villages. Locate the Garo Hills to the northeast, and the Vindhyas in central India. These were some of the other areas where agriculture developed. The place where rice was first grown are the north of the Vindhyas. North means mainly plain areas, field areas of India. Trace the rivers Indus and its tributaries. Tributaries are the small rivers that follows into a larger rivers. About 7,000 or 4,700 years ago, Some of the earliest cities flourished on the bank of these rivers. Later, about 25 year, 2500 years ago, cities developed on the bank of Ganga and its tributaries and along the sea coastals. Locate the Ganga and its tributary called the Son. The ancient time, the area along these rivers to the south of the Ganga was known as Magad, now lying in the state of Bihar. Its rulers were very powerful and set up a large kingdom were set up in other part of the country as well as throughout. People traveled from one part to the subcontinent to another. The hills and high mountains, including the Himalayas, desert, deserts, rivers, and seas, made journeys dangerous at a time, but never impossible. Mr. Impossible. So men and women moved in search of livelihood, as also to escape from natural disaster like floods, uh, drought, D-R-O-U-G-T, drought. What is flood or drought? Same thing. Sometime men marched in armies conquiring others' land. Beside merchant travelers with carvas or ships carrying valuable goods from place to place, and religious teachers walked from village to village, town to town, stopping to offer instruction and advice on the way. Finally, some people prefers traveled driven by a spirit of adventure, wanting to discover new and existing places. All these led to be sharing of ideas between people. Why do people travel nowadays? Look at map once more. Hills, mountains, and seas from the natural front, frontiers of the subcontinents. While it was difficult to cross these frontiers, those who wanted could and did scale the mountains. Facing page. This is the map of South Asia, including the present countries of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, and the nightbor countries of Afghanistan, Iran, China, Myanmar. South Asia is often called subcontinent because although it is a smaller than a continent, it is a very large and separated from the rest of the Asia by seas, hills, and mountains. So, why do people travel nowadays? Look at the map once more. Hills, mountains, and seas from the natural for, for, of the subcontinent. While it was difficult to cross these front, frontiers, those who wanted could and did mountains and cross the seas. People from across the frontiers also came into the subcontinents and settled here. Their movement of people enriched cultural tradition. People have shared news of carving stone, composing music, and even cooking food over several hundreds of years. Name of the land. Two of the words we often use from our country are India and Bharat. The word India comes from the Indus called Sindhu in Sanskrit. Find Iran and Greek in your atlas. The Iranians and the Greeks who came through the northwest about 2500 years ago and were familiar with the Indus called it Hindus or Indus, and the land of the east of the river was called India. The name Bharat was used for a group of people who lived in the northwest and who are mentioned in the Rig Veda. The earliest composition in Sanskrit detailed about uh, 3500 years ago. Later it was used for the country. Find it, find out about the past. There are several ways of finding out about past. One is to search for the read books and where writers long ago. They are called manuscripts because they were written by hands. These come from a Latin word manu means hand. These there were usually written on pla- plum leaf or on the especially prepared bark of a tree known as birch, which grown in Himalayas. A page of plum leaf manuscript. This manuscript was written about 1000 years ago. The palm leaf where प्लाम नहीं होता है palm होता है उसको ही सुनना था. The palm leaves were cut into pieces and tied together to make books. To see a birch uh, bark manuscript, turn to page this was. It was a bridge, and these were palm leaves manuscript on which palm leaf is used as writing something, and by making hole it is formed as a book. Mm. Over the years, many manuscripts were eaten away by insects. Some were destroyed, but many have survived, often preserved in temples and monasteries. This book deals with all kinds of subjects, religious belief and practices, the lives of kings, medicine and science. Beside, there were epic poems, plays. Many of these were written in Sanskrit. Others were in Prakritic language used by ordinary people at that time and Tamil. We can also study in in scriptures inscriptions. We can also study inscriptions. These are writings on relatively hard surface such as stone and metal. Sometimes kings got their orders inscribed so that people could see, read, and obey them. Means, can you know from which intention the mm, uh, writing on stones were is being started, people can obey the order of those rulers. There are other kings of inscrip- in inscriptions as well, where a man and woman, including kings and queens, recorded what they did. For example, kings often kept record of victories in battle. Can you think of the advantage of writing on a hand surface, and what could have been the difficulties? Hard surface advantage, and what are the difficulties? Hard surface, when someone writes something on a stone metals like thing, that surface is quite hard and it is difficult to write, but it is a long lasting way of displaying and presenting his writings, and it is quite difficult to make, but it is long lasting. There are many other things that were made and used in the past. Those who study these objects are called archaeologists. They study the remains of buildings made of stone and brick, paintings and sculpture. Es- hmm, hmm, स्पेलिंग थोड़ा सर्च मारा है वो, प्रोनाउंसिएशन एस लिखा SCULPT, हाँ, प्रोनाउंसिएशन सुना हम लोग का, प्रोनाउंसिएशन sculpture, 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 paintings and sculpture, murtikala, sculpture. They also explore and excavate, dig under the surface of the earth, excavate, excavate to the find tools, weapons, pots, pans, ornaments, and coins. Some of these objects may be made of stones, others of bones, baked clay, or metal. Objects that are made of hard, imperceivable, imperceivable substance usually survive for a long time. And old scriptures. This inscription dates to about 20 to 50 years ago and was found in Kandhar, Kandhar, present day Afghanistan. It was inscribed on the orders of the ruler named Asoka. You will read about him in chapter 7. When we write anything, we use script consists of letters or signs. When we read what is written or speak, we use a language. In inscription was inscribed in two different scripts and languages, Greek and Aramaic, Greek top, Aramaic below, which were used in this era. left apart from the old cities. Port like these were used about 4700 years ago, right? An old silver coin such as this one were is used from about 2500 years ago. In what ways in the coin different from of ones we use today? Archaeologists also look for bones of animals, birds and fish to find out what people ate in the past. Plant remains survive for more rarely. If seeds of grain or pieces of wood have been burnt, they survive in a carrot from. Do you think the clothes is found frequently by archaeologists, historians, that is, scholars who studied the past often use word source to refer the information found from manuscripts, inscriptions, and the archaeology. One source are found. Learning about the past becomes an adventure as we reconstruct it bit by bit. So, historians and archaeologists are like detectives who use all these sources like clues to find out about our past. One past or many. Did you notice the title of this book, Our Past? Did you notice the title of this book, Our Past? Our past, our past. Our past. We have used the word past, pasts, pasts. We have used the word pasts in plural to draw attention to the fact that the past was different from different groups of people. For example, the lives of herders or farmers were different from those of kings and queens. The life of merchants were different from those craft persons, and so on. Also, as in the true event today, people follow different practices and customs in different part of the country. For example, today most people living in the Andaman Island get their own food by fishing, hunting, and collecting forest product. By contrast, most people living in the cities dependent on others for supplying supplies of food. Difference such as this existed in the past as well. Besides, there is another kind of difference. We know a great deal about kings and the battles they fought because they kept records of their victories. Generally, ordinary people such as hunters, fishing folk, gathers, farmers of uh, herders did not keep records of what they did, while archaeology helps us to find out about their lives. There is a much that remains unknown. What do dates mean? If somebody asks you the date, you will probably mention the day, month and year. 2000 and something. These years are counted from the date generally assigned to the birth of Jesus Christ, the founder of Christianity. So 2000 means 2000 year after the birth of Christ. All dates before the birth of Christ are counted backward and usually have the letter BC before Christ date on. In the book we will refer to dates going back from the present using 2000 as our starting point, means before 2000 BC before Christ, and after Jesus AD, it is called AD. So we will later know about this. Letters with dates BC we have seen stands for before Christ. You will sometime find AD before dates. This stands for two Latin words, Anno Domini AD, meaning in the year of Lord Christ. So 2012 can also be written as AD 2012. Sometimes CE is used instead of AD and BCE instead of BC. The letter CE stands for Common Era and the BCE before Common Era. We use these terms because the Christian era is now used in most countries of the world. In India, we began use this form of dating from about 200 years ago, and sometime the letter BP means before present are used. Find out two dates mentioned on the page 3. Which set of letters would you use from them? So here our chapter ends, and now we have some activities that we can perform to, like imagine you have to interview an archaeologist. Prepare a list of 5 questions that you would like to ask her and him. So there is a archaeologist front of you. Suppose you are the archaeologist. What I will ask? So first of all, I am going to explain what is archaeologist. Archaeologist is a person who search about ancient people and things, places where they lived in past, and they are existing in present time and they are available. Mainly things, mainly elements that were came from past, or they were of past but still exist today. So what I will ask from archaeologists. First thing, why do you choosing to become an archaeology? Even you have lots of career field, lots of thing in this world to follow that. I have you chosen this one? So that's my first question, and I will answer to later. When I will go to see this video, I will answer this all question from my perspective. So, supposing I am a archaeologist. First question, why? Have you any wish or any dream to find something extraordinary in archaeology? Or what is the biggest achievement, biggest learning lessons, feeling of your entire archaeological life? And the second thing, how your archaeological life and the Contribution of archaeologists mainly help or affect the world of in general people or general life. What are the importance of these archaeologists? Or why anybody can choose to be an archaeologist, or why anybody should not to be choose as being an archaeologist. So these are my were these will be my five questions from any archaeologist. Next, some key terms are available here. Keywords: uh, traveling, manuscripts, ins, ins, inscription, archaeology, historians, source, uh, disperment. So manuscripts, when we write something on leaves, palm leaves, and any we will also discuss a leaf that is found in Himalayan areas. uh, Bricks, bridge, that. And inscription is that when we write something on hard surface like a stone, metal surface, that is called inscription. Archaeology, I have discussed. Historians, who discuss history. Sources, the place you find something. Discernment, decoding hidden ancient scriptures is called discernment. Match the following. So we have to match Narmada Valley, Magadh, Garo Hill, Indus and its tributaries, Ganga Valley. So you have to match, and list one major difference between manuscript and in scriptures. That's why I have discussed in that keywords format. So it is a subjective questions. Difference between manuscripts and in scriptures. Let us discuss. Return to the Rasida's question. Can you think of some answers to it? Yeah, by reading books. How can we know about the things of long ago? By books, by scriptures, by manuscripts, by archaeological researches and sources. Yeah, there are several things. Make a list of all the objects that archaeologists may find. Which of these could be made of stone? Stones mainly tools, hunting tools, or cooking and day-to-day life tools that can be made of the stones. It should be also, it may be a wheel of stone, and uh, the machine by which we uh, most of the thing of a stone make atta, chakki. Why do you think ordinary man and woman did not generally keep records of what they did? But it is a good habit. Journaling is a habit, a part of that habit, to maintaining, to keep record of his or her life. That is good, and it can be a valuable thing, a important thing, a worthy asset. Describe at least two ways in which you think the lives of king would have been different from those of farmers. Too much different. You can compare same thing in this time to the life of Pradhan Mantri, Chief Minister, Prime Minister, Chief Ministers, rather than a life of village, local village, families, persons, person. Let's do find the word craft persons on page. List at least 5 different crafts that you know about today. Are the crafts man, woman, both man or woman? Hmm. What were the subjects on which books were written in the past? Which of these would be like to read? Agricultural, lifestyle, evolution, war, and development, human development, and anthropology, anthropology, astronomy, archaeology, and anthropology. I was saying anthropology mainly. Anthropology is also a subject that can deal all these subject: history, geography, um, political, social, all the aspects of a human being's life. So that's why I will prefer to read the books of anthropology. Some important dates: the beginning of agriculture 8,000 years ago. The first cities on the Indus 417 years ago. Cities in the Ganga Valley, a big kingdom in Magadh 2500 year ago. The present about 200 AD and CE. So that's it for today. Tomorrow we will discuss next chapter 2, from hunting gathering to growing food, how we started agriculture. So thank you for today. Thank you.